I'm Luther Kruger, Big Blue Sun Museum of Solar Cooking from Minneapolis. I'm here with Scott Rundle on beautiful Lake Arrowhead with impeccable weather. Everyone's enjoying themselves, and we're doing a little bit of solar cooking with one of Scott's cookers. You've got, now let's see, you've got the Solo, the Duo, the Quattro, the Octo, the Sesquetimo.
There you go. That's it.
Everything doubles as it goes up,
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
We have in front of us, this is the Quattro, correct?
Right.
Yeah. Well, the questions I always ask everyone who's really in the game, really creative, is how did you get started? What turned you on to solar cooking to begin with? And then how did you get to this point where you've come up with this wonderful cooker?
Well, I used to manufacture cat furniture and sell it on Amazon at a Coroplast. One time I was down in San Diego, and I was at a farmer's market, and I saw this thing, and this lady said, "Hey, you want to put solar on your house?" And I said, "No, but what's that?" Because I noticed it was a Coroplast. And that's a solar cooker from Jim LaJoy. So I said, well, that's interesting. So that week I dove deep into solar cooking because I'd never heard about it before. So I learned about it. I got his card. I called him. Make a long story short, we started a business for a while, worked together for about 5 years. And then we ended up going our separate ways, and he's still doing the all-season solar cooker. And I started doing this. So I started a company called Dr. Solstice. My feeling is the bigger the fire, the more heat you get. And there's different solar cookers for different reasons. I also happen to do backpacking, so I have one called the Solo, which is a paper one, very light, very works perfectly when you're cooking for one. So kind of I figured out some names: Solo, Duo. Duo is about the same size as an all season, and this Quattro is bigger, and it cooks a lot of food. So
sure. And where do you bring them all? You've got just around here, or do you take them out camping, or what?
I got a huge backyard, and I usually just cook in my backyard. And different times in life, you have more time than others. You just go and cook. Sometimes it'll be breakfast. Sometimes it'll be let's cook some carne asada. Sometimes whole wheat dog food. I don't know. Just whatever you come up with.
Sure. Well, how did you come up with chloroplast?
Here's the thing. This stuff does not ever deteriorate practically. And since I was doing the cat furniture with it, I understood it. I come from the manufacturing side in the printing business, so I could see how to make this stuff and figure it all out. So, instead of making one per day, I can make 1,000 per day if I wanted to. By laminating the Coroplast, there's 2 mil, there's 4 mil. I like 2 mil because it's more pliable. 4 mil is a little bit more durable. So I played with all of them, trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. This was at a 4 mil. It's very stiff. And as you can see, I haven't broken it in yet. It's too straight, but when it's all dialed in perfect, it's a very wide parabolic-like cooker. And I like the fact that your food is on the ground, which is your weight. You don't have a base, and it folds up really small. My whole thinking, if you're going to change the world one solar cooker at a time, you got to be able to ship these somewhere. And if you're shipping them in a big old box and it costs you $75 to ship it anywhere, it doesn't make sense. These things can fold down to a real small, and so that's what I'm kind of after. And you fight battles of what works, what doesn't work, and what you want and what's capable, and you're never happy.
Sure. But you're always working on improving it. You've come up. This is probably what, 3rd, 4th generation of this kind of configuration.
It's a lot of them, and there's been some happy accidents too, because like this one right here, this right here, that angle is where all the weight goes from the cooker. And so if you break it in real good, it wants to fall over. Well, one day we screwed up and we made this too oversized, and it kept that from folding right on that seam. So it was a happy accident, so we've implemented that so it doesn't ever fall too far.
Sure.
So.
And the volume here, is this typical of what you've done here to cook this amount of food?
I do like to use these stacking pots, so we can do 3 different things. I just have water in these right now. I found with the 3 different stacking pots, after about an hour, they're about equal temperature. In the beginning, I think the top one's hotter. The middle one's always the coolest, and the bottom one is about the same as the top, but after about an hour, it equals out. So if you got rice, you always put the rice in the top because that cooks the fastest. You got stew, you put that in the bottom. You don't have to look at that for a while, or ribs or whatever, so you just vary your cooking. Then that way you're not using a whole solar cooker to make one little meal, you're making a big meal. And I like cooking big stuff. I like big pots of stuff.
Sure.
I seem to, when I make stuff, I throw way too much stuff in. So I like big pots of stuff, and these multiple pots. This actually you can do, if you do it right and put a trivet in there, you can actually put 6 pots in there. You know, those are three-quart roasters. Yeah, they're a little bit. Let's see, it'd be like this. I did not bring my, but you can stick it like this and like that.
Oh, sure.
And you know, either put a bag on them usually. And I think maybe this base might even be a little bit bigger, so you can actually get it up. But once these are opened up a little bit more and you put your trivet in there, it can actually expand a little bit, so it moves back a little further, so this can come up.
Sure.
So anyways.
And you typically use cooking bags?
On these, yeah. I definitely use cooking bags because it's hard to find any glassware that will fit over a 3-1, but I do like the base here.
Sure.
If that's your trivet, that's a pretty good trivet, and it also is a very good insulator on the bottom. So I'll throw a cooking bag right around those 3 and, you know, leave the base just like that.
Sure. You know, I learned with just a week ago with Tom Sponheim and Paul Hedrick, they edit the Solar Cookers International Wiki, that when you can put stuff in the bowls into any kind of cooker, that's better, because if you have like square glass or square reflectors, it hits it at an angle where it might actually bounce more off of the glass.
Interesting.
So the cooking bags, usually that's no big deal, because it's, if you blow it up, it's pretty much like a globe.
Right.
So you can actually have the bowl and the cooking bag. For
Yeah,
this.
let me show you what I would do right there. Want to lift those 3 pots up for me? It's just a big oven roasting bag. Drop them right back down in there. And we're not going to tie it, but let's assume we blew some air in it, tied it up. We're just going to do this for right now.
Yep.
Just to give you that greenhouse effect.
Yep.
And definitely greenhouse effect is huge.
Yeah.
There's just no way around it. I mean, solar cooking, as you know, is you got to have all the right ingredients. You got to have sun, you got to have a cooker that works, and there's many different ones. And you got to have you know, it's good to get it off the ground, so you get the sun underneath there, and not have your shadows blocked. And you need a greenhouse. You know, and you need this is adjustable. This one, like we said, we were just in a hurry today to get all this stuff done, so I have not quite perfected it yet. The ones I've sent you have holes in them with adjustments, and it's easy to adjust and stuff like that, but this one's just static for right this second.
Sure. What do you have in plans for the future? Anything like I saw that the Copenhagen and the Haynes, they've gone to snaps, and I'm wondering if maybe they would be able to, they'd have to be a little more industrial size for this mill, but maybe that'd be one way to...
I think I want to stick with the 2 mil. There's these plastic that work pretty darn good. These right here.
Sure.
You push on.
Oh.
And screw off.
Effectively a snap. Just.
Well, it's a you know, wrench deal, but
yep.
they roll on a little easier. So
sure.
I like those. You know, they work really fast and efficient, and you can also just sometimes if your cooker's right, that's not going anywhere. I haven't put this on here. So if you had a bunch of those in there, or one, you could just adjust it. So again, I haven't perfected it. You know, still playing around with it.
Sure.
Have drsolstice.com. Haven't done a whole lot. I'm very busy on the printing side, so this has just been a hobby gone wild, which means you're paying for it.
Oh, yes.
And so that's where I'm at in life right now. But I get different times in life where things slow down, and then I get to play with my hobbies a little bit.
And so long term, is this something? Have you had any nibbles, bites from people that are thinking, hey, this could be used overseas in the developing world? And
yeah, I have. I've shipped some of the paper ones to Africa, to Daniel at Asuma. What's the name of that?
Asuma Century?
Yeah, he's got a bunch of them. He's been able to sell them for like $20 over there, but he also makes a great one himself. So I think us Americans think we always know everything, and our ideas are going to be great everywhere else, and we always get taught lessons because we don't have a clue. And so you know, I'm learning all the time, and if someone expressed an interest, the nice part about this, I figured out how to ship a lot of them flat on a pallet, and we'll just see what happens.
Sure.
The solar cooking industry is interesting because it's very small, very niche, and You know, it's not like petrol, or it's not like any of the other stuff. So it's I don't know where it's going to go.
Well, yeah,
We need to go somewhere with it, but the government can't control it, so it's hard to get it to be paid for, right?
Right. Yeah, and you're up against petrol. I mean, it's not a matter of, well, it's just an either or. I mean, they're really actively, they don't like that someone's edging into the petrol business.
Probably true.
You've networked with other cooker makers besides.
Yeah. I've talked to lots of them. I mean, It's all about helping other people and learning from them, and you know, some of the best ideas are borrowed and given. You know what I mean? We're all trying to come up with a solution that helps other people. I mean, you know, it doesn't make sense. Like I said, a big box cooker. I'm not saying a big box cooker is not great, but hard to ship something that's $50. My cat furniture that I used to ship weighed 10 pounds. It cost me $50 to ship it to New York.
Wow.
So this one costs like $6 or $7 because you can get it down so small. So, you know, I like to cook lots of stuff, and I like it to be inexpensive, and I like it to work, and I like it to, you know, fit in a small box.
Sure.
So.
Well, this one I put alongside of the Haynes cooker and the Copenhagen, and they basically are on the same plane. I mean, cook a lot of yours cooks more volume. They seem to cook pretty much at the same rate. I like the fact of volume because I've got 5 brothers and sisters. My wife has 5 brothers and sisters, and when we cook for people solar, we've had one dinner where we had 17 people, and everything on the table was solar. You know, it was like 7 or 8 different cookers, some of them rolling over with, you know, this pot goes out, this one comes in.
Right.
And so I can appreciate the volume size. The parabolics that I use, the SK14, that one you have a gallon of stew going every time while everything else is cooking. So, yeah. And what other cookers do you have that you use?
You know, I like you, I'm a little bit nuts. I like to buy them. So I've got over here, we've got the Parvati from Ravinda Parish, Ravinda, over in India, and that's a fantastic cook. Let me show you what I love about this one.
Oh yeah.
It came with some tiffin pots, a little 3-set pot, but I like to eat a lot more food than that. So
sure.
The cool part about this is it's just very well made. It's very well adjustable. There's 2 adjustments. You got a sun sight here, which is absolutely imperative and beautiful. So you adjust it like this, and you adjust it like this. Of course. You know, and it just
we can get all the way from sunrise to straight up and down throughout the equator.
It came in a big box all the way from India. So, you know, again, I don't like the big boxes, and I don't necessarily like a base if I could get it. I mean, if I could figure a parabolic with a trivet that would work, that's where I'm trying to go in my head with it.
Sure.
So I could keep the parabolic made of chloroplast and use your trivet for your pivots, and your food sits on your top of your thing and it's always on the ground.
Sure.
So that's in my brain what I've got, but this one's fantastic. The deep parabolic, so it's not going to fry bacon as well as it will slow cook a baked potato.
Mm-hmm.
So this one, you set it and forget it. You can put the 2 pots on there, the greenhouse, really well with one. I can throw 2 pots on here and without a trivet, without a bag, and it still does well. It's not as big as the SunPlicity, which we'll go into next. So this one hasn't been getting as much use, and that's why I'm going to give it to you at the end of this adventure here.
Sure.
And you're going to go figure out what you like about it.
Oh yeah.
We'll go from there. But it was very easy to put together. He numbered everything. It's a great little cooker. It's very sturdy. Things fallen over and gotten beaten up, and you can't hurt it. Okay, this one is a SunPlicity, which you know when you have one of these from Alan Beavis in France. And he keeps telling me I keep putting the wrong pots in there. I put too heavy of pots. I put frying pans. I'm just trying to break it, Alan, and it won't break. It's like a precision instrument. It's amazing. We cooked some orzo in there today, and I think I burned it. And it's just an amazing cooker. I've cooked steaks on it, cooked bacon on it, cooked dog food on it. I've cooked stew on it. I mean, I love this cooker for the speed of it, the heat it produces, and I leave it set up all the time. Occasionally it'll blow over my yard. You can see it's a little dirty, but what the heck, we still have a great time with it. The sun sight's absolutely impeccable. I don't think you can see this. I'll turn it sideways You see that? This is a magnet, and it adjusts just like this to get it right there. It holds it in place, and then there's a hole in the cooker here, and it shows up right in there, which is the sun sight. And so that's in perfect registration. You know you're cooking perfectly, and very, very, very powerful cooker. And I would say definitely one of my favorites. I like to see stuff sizzle.
Yes.
You know, if we could get to fire, that's what we're all after, I think.
Yes.
Even though, you know, if you have too much fire too fast, you burn stuff. So that's the other side of it. You know, that's why some of the other ones make sense, and we like those too. So
When I get to test, we set this out just 50 feet away, walked about 100 yards.
yes,
20 minutes, half hour we were there.
yeah.
Came back, already done, starting to burn. That's how quick it was.
And you know what? The orzo is pretty darn good
Oh,
right now.
imagine.
We're both not hungry, which is a real problem.
That's okay.
I'm pretty abusive on the cookers. This one's left in the backyard actually, and it gets tipped over every once in a while when there's a big wind, and it's just the way it goes.
Sure.
So, Alan, you did a hell of a job.
When I visited him in France,
Oh, you did?
he had, back up to the conference in Portugal.
Yeah.
And we took the train through Spain, visited a few things, and then we visited him, and he had one that's about twice the size of this. Well, you
Not
know,
necessary.
not necessary, but you know I wanted it.
Yeah.
But he was not quite ready to put it into production yet. Yeah.
Well, the address for him is Luther Kruger.
Yes, he's got my address because he shipped me
Yeah,
a couple of these.
yeah. So this is a fantastic cooker, and it's held up very well, and he manufactured it impeccably well, and I could never get to half of the level of thinking that he's at, so that's just awesome.
Sure.
We all got different strengths in this whole industry, and
Yep.
I'd like it to become an industry instead of just a hobby. You know, I mean, Solar Cookers International is doing a great job, but man, we need some people or someone's got to figure out that these things actually work. And I know they've been trying to figure it out, and everyone's pushing, but the world hasn't recognized it, I don't think, as of yet.
That's the big challenge, and I've asked everyone that I've done these recordings with is any insight as to what could be done. I've got a few ideas myself as far as best practices for promoting it, but what are your thoughts on that?
Well, like this other one that created, this one, we're just going to take this rice out of here and just throw it in here
Sure.
for the heck of it. Not that this is a cooker and a cooker, we're using it as a stand. This one's made of paper. Okay? It cost me about $1.75 to manufacture. And it'll cook that pot of rice. Just takes a little longer. Smaller fire, takes longer.
Yep.
The need is, if you could tack this in a backpack and you put a little pack about this big and it weighs a half a pound, I've actually gone on backpacking trips with no fuel, no nothing. And there's guys and gals that hike from Mexico to Canada, and that's too much weight for them still. So, you know, I'm always trying to figure out what's the next greatest thing for somebody. And they're not a big market, but it's still fun to play around with. So I figured out little backpacks, how they could strap this on their backpack and walk. Because they'll eat oatmeal in a peanut butter jar that's been soaked in cold. So anything hotter is better than nothing, right? So I've got some ideas, but they're not really marketable ones, but they're just fun to talk to people about. And these guys don't want to carry any weight. You know, peanut butter jar is almost too heavy. So, but you know, people going. So I think if we work towards segmenting markets, and let's say this is for the backpacker market, that's why it's called the Solo. It's good for one, very cheap, doesn't last forever. It gets wet, you're in trouble. But you know, if you paid $20 for something like this, you took a backpack and used it for a week, and it worked effectively, it cooked all your meals, you'd be okay with that, $20. So that's that one. I've got one other one. Isn't quite set up completely, but this one's for your coffee cup. And that, you just put your coffee cup in there, and preferably black, point it towards the sun, and heat your coffee cup up.
Sure.
But it also is a s'more cooker. So it's a perfect size for half a graham cracker, some chocolate, and so this just shows the proof of solar cooking.
Sure, sure.
So this one's made out of 4 mil, which is way too heavy. It should be made out of paper, but I had a little space on the sheet, so I did it.
Sure.
And you know, I would love to see somebody, you know, science classes by the kids.
Sure.
The problem with me is I'm just so dang busy doing all the other stuff in my life, I don't ever get quite to the finish line on you know, marketing it or whatever. I'm terrible at marketing. I'm good at helping other people, but I'm terrible at doing it myself. So That's that.
Well, in the Solo, is this the same aluminized Mylar, or is this a different coating?
This is just a paper that you buy, and it's already got it for the printing industry. So people buy foil board is what they call that.
Okay.
It's a 28-point foil board. It's water. Now you could do a couple things to make it. For another $1, you could laminate it. That'd make it a little bit, but you still get water in the seams that could fall apart on you.
Sure.
And the best part about these is that look at the parabolic it actually creates. It's a pretty good.
Yeah.
And you put your weight there. So on these ones, the best thing to do is just fold them in half and ship them in half, and then put them together and never fold all these folds like you would on these other ones, because it keeps a nice round fold to it.
Sure.
You know, and in a perfect world, I'd have all the holes drilled in here to be perfect, and everybody wants it, when they want to adjust it, they can adjust it and it lines up perfect, because this paper, if you adjust it wrong, it goes all cattywampus on you.
Sure.
So, but I've cooked 2 meals a day backpacking in the evening, you know, freeze-dried food. I cook it, eat another one, cook it, eat another one. You know, so it works. I mean, it works well. And this right here, you think, why do you have this on there for? Well, we had extra spot on the sheet. We had extra room on the sheet, so we just threw an extra piece of that panel on there. We just left it there, so it worked just fine. This solar cooking is all about approximations and just doing the best you damn can with what you got. And like the Copenhagen, I mean, you wouldn't think that thing would cook like
it's amazing.
It's amazing, and it puts like a magnifying glass, bug burning focus. I want to say, you know, and so that's a great little cooker. I mean, it's amazing. So, you know, everyone's got a little different spin on how to do it, and we're all trying to get there some way, somehow.
Sure.
And it's fun just toying with it, and you know, keep your mind occupied with something that's worthwhile.
This is the Solo.
This one is the s'more cooker.
Okay.
S'more cooker, Solo, or backpacker. The Duo this is how it looks before it's folded.
Sure.
And so the Duo is about as big as an all-season solar cooker, and the Quattro is bigger. And I can get 2 of those on one 4x8 sheet.
Oh, sure, I can see that.
And so you know, different price points and different power capabilities. Like I said, bigger fire, you know, bigger. And so, but if one took off, if these started taking off, I would just make these.
Sure.
Market kind of dictates where you're going. I'm a terrible marketer, so I don't know where I'm going.
Well, and basically, it's this pattern scaled up or scaled down.
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing.
Same exact thing.
And once they're good and loose, even the 4 mil, the approximation of the parabolic is what really makes it concentrate.
Right, and that's probably a good word, the approximation of the parabolic.
Yeah.
I mean, this one right here, which is cool, and I'll give you some of these to take home and toy with. But let's say this was your parabolic, and then now you want to do it like this. So if you had your stand that had holes here and holes here, and now you could actually, you know, let's move this out of the way. If you had your stand, that's a better parabolic, just using the same design.
Sure.
But it doesn't stand that way. But if you could put a stand there, it would hold your food there. So really, you have 1 adjustment, 2 adjustments, and 3 adjustments. You know, if you just had that, or your 2 adjustments, this thing would be pretty damn good. And you know, that one's your strongest one, because that looks like this.
Yes. Yeah.
In a sense, you know.
Yep.
And nothing's perfect, but you know, I don't know why I just don't say, why don't you just take the paper and make it a parabolic? Could do that too, I guess. But
Sure.
it doesn't want to sit very well. It always needs a stand. I'm trying to get away from the stand.
Yep.
So why can't we make the trivet the stand, hold the food here? It always seems to like being held higher than lower, but it's all where it reflects to. So
Sure. Well, one thing I've done, with the Parvati, he actually has, there's 2 different patterns online that are shared, kind of open source. One is just 2 cones, one narrower than the other, and the other one's the double angled 12-sided, which is kind of like this. This is a 24-side.
Is that the DAT?
DATS.
Yeah.
Double, yeah. And one thing I figured out was, like, the hole in the bottom there, if you got the pot, you can have a reflector there, and you'll get an inch or 2 of it with whatever gets past the pot. But I found online these scissor jacks that they have for labs. You know, where you can gradually raise something up to a beaker toward a flame, or you know, some sampling where you're testing it. I saw this motorcycle scissor jack. They actually release a motorcycle. Well, that's overkill, unless you had a real beast of a parabolic, I suppose. But I thought, well, that's the concept. Is the hole at the bottom of the Parvati, you could put the base onto the front, and just hooked it there like with a key ring or something. So it's
Yeah.
loose, but it's holding it down. And then the top, back in with the top, and raise that. And as you raise it, it would tip it forward, or if you bring it down, it'd bring it up. So it would have the low angle.
Yeah,
So
I'm way more simple than that. I'm
Yeah.
taking a four-legged
Yep.
trivet that when you have it in this position, it stays up high enough.
sure.
Okay, you turn in this position, it fits in 4 holes, drops right in there. Now you're perfect. And then obviously, this is similar. You don't even need to worry about this position. It's just I mean, they are designed for morning and evening and winter and summer, but
Yep.
it's all approximation. Like on the Quattro,
Sure.
you don't need to adjust that thing hardly. It's great to adjust it. It's always fine to have it perfectly in tune, but it's big enough. It's got enough power. You throw it in there, the sun moves a little bit, it's still going to cook.
Yep.
Almost anything you want to put in there. Yeah, you might have to wait an hour longer if you don't want to babysit it, but if you want to eat eggs and bacon, you should be using this one right here.
Sure. Sure.
With a frying pan. Sorry, Alan. Yeah, frying pans work. This one's too heavy, but it works.
Yep.
But it cooks a hell of a steak, and that
Sure.
one sits on top, but it's a scary.
Yep.
So, you showed me some tricks of the trade on that,
Sure.
but, like I said, it's fun, whatever you want to cook. I mean, so if I think we need to attack different markets, and Amazon's a fantastic one. Jim's done a fantastic job on Amazon. He's been helped him get started on that. We got started on that together, and that's probably the best marketplace for solar cookers right now.
Sure.
There's a guy in Utah that does, he's got the other website.
Oh, the Cantina West.
Cantina West
Yeah.
does a fantastic job, especially with information. Solar Cookers International, the wiki, all of it helps. So what we need to do, someone needs to get it to where like the can cooker got accepted in Bass Pro Shops, Big Fives. We need to go to a retail one that they actually accept and people buy.
Sure.
And then we'll be the Coleman stove of that. So that's where I'd like to take it, but I'm too busy doing whatever I'm doing. I can't seem to get my act together.
Sure. Sure.
But,
One of them will end up there sooner or
yeah,
later.
it's got to.
Yeah. I mean, driving here from Minnesota through Montana, smoke, ash, Oregon, smoke, ash, and every camp space, any national park, the sign is no fires.
This is we got fires here in
Yeah,
California.
yeah.
Two weeks ago, they closed the forest.
Yeah.
You can't have a fire. We can't have them in our backyard no matter what.
No.
Unless they're a propane one. But they were allowing them in the campgrounds, and they closed the forest. Everything's closed. So
Yeah.
it's late September. It's hotter than heck and drier than heck, windier than heck, and there's no fires.
Yes.
So this is a great solution. Plus
That's what's got to happen.
deforestation, all that. I mean, it's prime. It's ready. It's someone needs to push it farther than I have, and we're all trying. So,
Sure.
And you're
Sure.
doing a great job with what you're doing. And
This one too,
what
when
do
it's
you
low to
think
the
the
ground.
answer is?
Well, there's an outfit called Solar Oven Partners, run by the United Methodist Church. So it's kind of a project that they do as part of their ministry. And what they do is they put together a box cooker, the parts, and ship them in pallets. And when they get there, they send someone to just say, look, if you want one, you got to come to a 2-day training.
Gotcha.
So that you totally get the idea behind it.
Right,
You
right,
understand how not to abuse it. But and it's like the Solar Oven Society Sport, only maybe an extra half a Genmes wide, so it can fit like 3 of your regular pots rather than just the 2. So for larger families, which they tend to have in the Dominican Republic. So I think that's one good model. The Sun Stove in South Africa I felt was a really good model. Basics are do it over there. The materials should be over there.
Yeah.
Have the folks learn how to do it, but they take ownership of it. They decide, are they going to sell it, are they going to open source or whatever. And what they did initially was they made sure they developed partnerships. The one that Richard Wareham told me, or I'm sorry, David Wareham, his son, Richard Wareham had started the whole thing. Sappy Paper Company. They actually have operations in northern Minnesota, but they're also in South Africa, and they manage forests for pulp and for wood, lumber. And what they did was they set up a partnership because they didn't want employees pilfering wood for firewood, even the scrap, because they can turn that into plywood. And to do that, they just basically paid what was necessary for the Sun Stoves to be made for every one of their employees. So they could go home with a solar cooker and not have to, either go out into their forest and get it, or pilfer from the company. The outside of the box thinking, you know.
One of the things that I did a little different, and it hasn't taken off, and it could someday, is on Dr. Solstice, is I'm willing to work with wholesale partners.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, like, you found me through that, and you bought, I think, 3 or 5 cookers at one time. I can't remember what it was, at a wholesale price. And my goal is to enable other entrepreneurs that, say, go to a flea market or go to a farmer's market, set up a solar cooker and have 4 to sell, and they're cooking with 1 and sampling.
Sure.
And then they sell the 4, and the next week they order 4 more.
Sure.
That'd be in a perfect world how we could do it and grow that from there. So
Yep.
I'm always trying to help other people enable their life and be better, and make a nickel at the same process.
Sure.
But this isn't something I need to. I like to invest my life in it for other reasons, because if somebody figures out how to cook on it, then you feel good in your heart.
Yep.
You've done something for somebody.
Sure.
Cat furniture. I would help a lady save a cat, and that was good. This is hopefully saving a family.
Sure.
So it feels better. Printing is just a paycheck.
Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Well, and there is kind of the third way, which you've kind of described. You know, going to farmers markets. In Minneapolis, they have what they call open streets events, where Lake to 46, 20. It's 16 blocks just blocked off.
Right.
But everyone and their uncle sets up their bakery stand,
Sure.
their political stand,
Right.
and being able to do stuff there. It's like Joe Radabaugh initially, when he just had a flyer saying, "Here's how you make one out of cardboard boxes."
Right. Yeah.
And this is why Alan Vivas learned from Joe when he was traveling through the States, and he happened upon that book, and so look at what that's doing now, you know. So
I hope he makes his second million.
Yes.
You know what they say in solar cooking: the way to make $3 million is start with 4.
Yes. Wow. Well, thank you so much. I can't think of anything else to ask. This is wonderful, and
We'll do the COVID bump.
yes, and this has been every stop I've made except Seattle, which it's Seattle. It was a little drippy, but we got through it, and we had a wonderful time over there.
Yeah.
Well, great. Thanks again.
Been fun. Thank you.